Now, I'm saying that writing goals is just not enough. Even if you write them in the SMART format, as I have suggested, it's not enough. So let's look at the learning process for adults. Why just goal writing is not enough? So there are 4 steps to an adult learning process. First step is the unconscious incompetency. Second step is conscious incompetency. Third step, conscious competency. And fourth step is unconscious competency. So to elaborate on this, let's take the example of how to ride a cycle. Now there is a competency of riding a cycle. This competency, you were absolutely unconscious. You were unconscious about your incompetence at one point of time in your life when you did not even know what this cycle was. Am I right? So that time, this incompetency of not being able to ride a cycle, you were completely unconscious about. This is the first stage. So what happened is that as you started growing, probably you read about a cycle, and one fine day when you went to your school, you found your best friend riding on a cycle and coming to school. Now, the moment you saw a friend coming on the bicycle to school, you became conscious about your incompetency of riding cycle. The moment the incompetency comes to the consciousness, it creates a strong drive. Stronger the drive, faster is the learning. Okay, so now you are at the second stage. You are conscious about your incompetency. Let's look at conscious incompetency. So what you did, probably you hired a bicycle, bought a bicycle, and what? So let's say you bought a bicycle. Along with that, there was one A4 side sheet of instruction with 10 sets of instructions on this. This is how you ride a cycle. Now, if I ask a simple question over here, I give you 24 hours to mug up this, to test. If I want to test you on this sets of instruction, this A4 sheet and 10 sets of instructions, and I give you 24 hours, and I said that after 24 hours, I will take a test on this. Would you score 10 out of 10 in this test? 24 hours, 10 sets of instruction. I bet most of you the answer would be yes, I would be able to score. But having scored 10 out of 10 on this test, will you be able to ride a cycle? No. So what you did, you continued, you hired a cycle, you sat on that, you bought a friend of yours, some elderly person who support you, you created that support group, and they were holding back. And what happened? Okay, before that, okay, this is over. So if you really observe people at this conscious competency, now you started riding the cycle a little bit, somebody has helped you, somebody is holding the cycle, you are now kind of getting a feel of it, what is happening, how to ride a cycle. So when you were conscious, how were you sitting on that cycle? Tight, stiff, straight faced. Even if somebody called you during, you would not look over there, right? And then you continued your practice. What happened is that you probably fell down, you broke, you had a fracture, whatever. You might have gone through that learning curve, and suddenly at one point of time, you were confident that there were people who were holding the bicycle from behind, and you were just going on pedaling, 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 pedaling. You were unaware that the person behind has left you, and some magic happened at that point of time. In that moment, you actually learned how to cycle. What did you get about that cycle that you know that you have? There's only one single word: what you got was balance of cycle, right? Question to all of you. Can you teach this balance to anyone? Impossible. Why? Because this is an experience. Experience cannot be put into word. Experience cannot be taught. Now, why am I talking about this conscious competency and experience? It has been over 15 years you've sat on a cycle. Some of you might be more than that. Some of you might be less, 5 years. You haven't touched a cycle up till now. If I give you the cycle right now, will you be able to ride the cycle? Answer is yes. Why? Because the moment you get the balance of cycle, in a short span of time, this competency of cycle riding becomes unconscious, and now you are freely driving the cycle anywhere, everywhere. You look here, there, smiling, looking, saying hi to people, whistling, and doing all sorts of tricks. You did some stunts also. Why? Because repeatedly you practiced again and again and again and again and again, and now that competency has gone into your unconscious. So friends, adult learning, for you to move from conscious competency to unconscious competency, repetition is the only answer. You got to repeat that again and again and again and again till the new program is formed. And when I say repetition, in our case, all what you're learning in these courses, you have to learn to implement in a situation. See, it is said ideas are worthless if there is no execution. If you want results, take these, apply them, even if you did not understand anything up till now. Apply them. You will have some experience. This experience will teach you. And there are only two experiences. One is either you pass or you fail. There are only two results that you can go when you execute a plan of action. Either you pass or you fail. And both ways you can make it a learning lesson. Because if you pass, you can come back, tick, 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 all these 10 steps you have completed, and that's how you got the result. If you didn't, by any chance, come back to these 10 steps, come back to this workbook, and look at what is it that you can add so that the next execution you will get the desired result. The question is, there is something called an implementation loop. Do you want a result one time, or do you want a lifelong change in your behavior? You decide. If it is just a one time, fair enough, you applied it, you got the result, have a party, that's it. After some time, you may find that you've gone back to your same old behavior. But if you are committed to make a lifelong change in your behavior, then you have to follow something called an implementation loop. The implementation loop is going in, doing it again and again and again and again till you master the game. So we saw this slide of idea, execution to get the results. But if you want a change in behavior, then you need to do this repeatedly in different areas of your life. Have multiple results of the same implementation in different areas of your life. That's what I call an implementation loop. Okay. So let me give you the importance of why it is important. Why is it important for you to have this implementation loop? Okay. I'm going to give you an analogy connected. I'm not going to say much, but just the whole animation is giving you some idea. So I'm sure by now everyone is seeing a movie in a theater. It's very clear, right? So there is this camera through which there is a certain projection on the screen. And the moment there is a projection on the screen, there is a perception created. Question is that now it is possible that perception 1 may not be equal to perception 2, may not be 3, 4, 5. Different people, different perceptions, right? The question is that the perception that has been created by you viewing that screen and the movie on the screen is created by whom? Who is the creator of that perception? The director of the movie. The director of the movie creates that perception simply because what you see in the screen is exactly what is going on in the director's head. He wants to project his idea onto the screen, and the movie is considered as a hit or a success when P1 is equal to P2 is equal to P3 is equal to P4. More number of perceptions having the same perception, the movie is called a hit. Question to you: if this is your movie, if this was a movie of your life, who is the director and who's the hero? You are. Friends, the current perception that you have created in people around you, if you want to change that perception, if you want, because people will not perceive you in the same way. P1 may not be equal to P2, may not be equal to P3. If you want to create that perception as same, then implementing these ideas in different situations and getting results is the only way. I'll give an example of what I'm talking here. When I rebranded myself as a facilitative trainer in the learning and development space, when I was confident in the industry, in about 2 years I was pretty confident. I considered myself as an extremely good. I felt that I was a world-class facilitator. And it so happened that in a particular month there were 3 organizations who complained against me that we don't want this guy as a facilitator, and it was probably the biggest shock of my life. 3 companies, one after the other. The feedback that I got from most of the people from the organizations was, this guy is very harsh, sometimes rude, too strong, overwhelming. Now it was important for me. If one person said that, okay, this guy is very harsh, he's very strong, he's overbearing, it's okay. 10 people say the same thing, I might think about it. If 50 people say, I might as well work on it. And here I was in a situation where 50 people were saying that this guy is not a good facilitator. And I remember I went back to my design board and started asking myself this question as to what really happened. What happened? Why am I getting this kind of a feedback? What is it that I am saying to myself? Why am I harsh with people? And boom, there was a bulb on in one of my meditations I got. I use a lot of affirmations to produce results in my life. And one of the affirmations was that I am ruthless compassion. Now, there were people who could withstand my ruthlessness in this 3 year period, 2 years period. There were people in my life who could withstand that ruthlessness and get in touch with my compassion, which was behind. I realized that all people are not. The people who got through the ruthlessness and got in touch with my compassion became friends for life. But all people may not be able to understand that. And then I changed my affirmation from I am ruthless compassion to I am compassionately ruthless with myself and others. In about 8 months' time, the same people started becoming very friendly with me. Simply because first I became friendly with myself. I became softer with myself. I was less harsh on myself. I was less uh, judging on myself. And the moment I did that, the same people, I could change my perception, and it happened in all the three organizations because I kept on applying whatever I was learning, and that's how I could change my behavior. I would say not change, okay, change my behavior, adjust my behavior, modified my behavior, whatever. I still am the core belief is still the same, but I modified my behavior in a way that P1 became equal to P2 is equal to P3 is equal to P4 is equal to P5. So guys, if you're looking for a long-term behavior change in yourself, you will have to work hard and create this implementation loop.